Well, Molly, relatives of the people who died, they want this case to go to trial. They say this plea deal fails to hold Boeing accountable, the fine is too light, and the public won't hear the truth. Although Boeing resolved the case involving the two 737 MAX crashes that killed 364 passengers in 2018 and 2019, prosecutors say the airplane maker violated the terms of its deferred prosecution. The door plug blowout aboard an Alaska Airlines flight in January upended the agreement, and federal prosecutors charged the company with fraud. Now Boeing is being offered a plea deal.
DOJ has to balance accountability and justice with the fact that Boeing is critical to our economy and to national security.
Attorney Mark Lindquist represents families of the victims in these incidents and says many are frustrated by the federal government's offer.
The feeling is that Boeing has been stalling both the criminal and the civil cases for years. They've been dodging responsibility.
Relatives of the people who died want the case brought to trial. They say this deal only requires Boeing to admit it defrauded safety regulators, but does nothing to link Boeing's actions to the deaths of all those passengers.
We need to hold Boeing accountable, not have them just pay fines as part of the cost of their doing business. This is just another sweetheart deal between the Department of Justice and Boeing.
The plea deal would leave Boeing with a felony conviction. It would also include a $244 million fine and a requirement that it undergo outside monitoring of its safety improvements for the next 3 years.
If they take this case to trial, all the company's negligence, all the company's misconduct, all the company's dirty laundry would be rehashed in a highly public forum.
Well, we reached out to Boeing today for comment, but did not hear back. The company has until Friday to let the Justice Department know if they plan to accept this plea deal or take their chances in court. Reporting live, Joel Marino, KOMO News.
Tonight in the deep end, the push to hold Boeing accountable for two deadly plane crashes that killed hundreds of people back in 2018 and 2019 is heating up tonight. The company is being pushed to plead guilty to fraud charges over the two crashes or face a trial. Mary Nam joins us here in the deep end. Mary, family members of the victims want this case to go to trial.
That's what they're hoping for. If Boeing pleads guilty, the company would be convicted of a felony and would have to pay fines and would be monitored for years. Tonight I talked to Joel Marino about how the victims' families are reacting to this development.
Well, the family members of these victims think that this plea deal that's been offered just lets Boeing off way too light. There is a fine, it's about a little under $250 million fine. The company would be convicted of felony fraud, which is no small thing. But the family members really want to see this go to trial. They say that if Boeing accepts this deal that the federal prosecutors have offered, they only have to admit to misleading federal safety regulators. They don't actually have to own up to saying that their actions caused the death of 346 people on two different flights back in 2018 and 2019 when those 737 MAXs crashed to the ground.
What is the timeline moving forward with this now?
Well, this was just presented to Boeing on Sunday, and they have until Friday to make up their minds if they want to take this deal, this plea deal, or take their chances in court before a judge and jury. Now, Lindquist, the attorney, told me that if Boeing goes down that route to risking the trial, federal prosecutors would dredge up a lot of allegations about corporate misconduct and negligence. And he says Boeing really can't afford that kind of a hit to their reputation being so public. And he's pretty confident that Boeing will accept the deal. And he thinks that they should act now rather than waiting for the deadline on Friday. But we will see what Boeing decides.
And that is exactly what the victims' families, they don't like and they don't want. They want this thing to go to trial. It seems that that is unlikely, though.
Well, it's all Boeing's next move. They've been offered this from prosecutors. If they take it, it would end right there, and they would be convicted. They would pay the fine. They'd undergo 3 years of probation. That would include an outside monitor to check regularly on their progress for safety improvements. So a lot of new oversight would be added, but it would not be it would not force Boeing to formally acknowledge its culpability with the deaths of these hundreds of passengers. It would be a far smaller fine than what families were hoping to see Boeing pay. So it's really Boeing's move to make.
All right, Joel Marino, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mary.
Obviously, a big decision that Boeing has to make over the next couple of days. Mary, are criminal charges against a corporation rare?
Steve, they're actually not. Most are, though, against smaller companies, so you really never hear about them in the news. Oftentimes, major corporations reach settlements in their cases. For example, BP agreed to pay $4 billion in penalties to settle criminal charges related to that deadly Deepwater Horizon explosion and oil spill. And 7 years ago, Volkswagen pleaded guilty to criminal charges and paid billions in fines related to its emissions scandal.
We will see what happens with Boeing this week. Thanks, Mary. That brings us to tonight's Pulse poll. This is the question that we're asking tonight. How confident are you in the safety of Boeing manufactured jets? A live look at the results coming in tonight. Almost even across the board. 39% saying low confidence, 31% saying mostly confident, and just under that with 30% saying highly confident. If you want to add your vote, just scan the QR code on your screen using your cell phone's camera. We're going to update these results later in the show. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this.